Hi, everyone. Welcome to the break room for coaches. And we made it, Jess.
Yay.
It seems like
we're here.
A long time since we did our last show.
Yeah, we had, I think May had an extra week, so we took that week off, and we're back. I'm so excited for today.
And today I'm not calling from Madrid. I'm calling from Cancun.
Woo.
I don't know how the noise is going to be, but I'm in the Caribbean, so we'll see. The animal noises we're going to hear. So thank you so much. Hey, so let's talk about our red lipstick.
We have our red lipstick on. That's for you, Phoenix.
I know. So we have a super special guest today. I'm like such a fan of hers. And we're in a mastermind together. We went to Costa Rica together, and I completely fell in love with her work and who she is. And she has this amazing things going on. So I'm going to read a little bit. Usually I don't do, introductions. We don't get like too formal, but I kind of want to read a little bit so you kind of get to a feeling of who she is. So she's a believer in the power of pleasure. Her name is Phoenix Muranetz. I don't know how she pronounced it. I'm like so Latino that I pronounce it everything. Like all last names are Latino for me. Connects people to their embodied wisdom, creative expression, and sensuality to experience deeper, authentic connections, intimacy, and personal power. She's an award-winning social entrepreneur, speaker, and co-founder of the Awakened Women Conference. She's now devoted to supporting women in reclaiming and connecting to their brilliance, desires, and voice through the embodiment of pleasure and creative expression. Having studied energy work and spiritual modalities from the age of 11, she now shares her initiation process through intimate retreats and trainings, one-on-one journeys, and through the annual Awakened Women Conference. So she's going to talk a little bit more of the conference that's going to be held in Bali. Ooh. And and it's going to be about 300 women. It's going to be amazing. So should we just go for it? And if anybody has any questions, but because I was kind of thinking how this whole sensuality, how does it affect the business? And we were talking about it. I'm like, don't tell me anything. Tell me the day of the show. So Phoenix, go ahead and call in like you did before. And we'll go ahead and take your call. All right, cool. It is hot, girl. It is hot here.
Hi. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Well,
nice to meet you too, Jessica.
We are.
Well,
we're so
go ahead.
You're here.
Awesome. Yeah.
I know. Check out our red lipstick.
Love it.
Because that was like a sensual thing to do.
That shows you how much we know about sensuality, right? We're like, okay, red lipstick.
So tell us a little bit of, I already introduced you, but tell us a little bit about your work and how this can affect our business and how does it work. Just give us a little bit something to get the conversation started.
Yeah. So I came from like a corporate background, and I was working in sustainability, and I went to school for architecture. And what I found was that the corporate world is so masculine. There's, even in school, in universities, in the corporate world and in business in general, it seems like women really have to wear and lead from the masculine in order to be seen, in order to be heard, in order to be respected. And so through that entire process, I really lost touch with my femininity. I was like wearing these business suits, and I was really out of touch with what it meant to be a woman. And I saw all of these women around me that were in the same position, and we still see it today, women that are having to sacrifice their femininity and their warmth and their sensuality and what makes them women in order to be respected, in order to succeed, or so they think. And when I started reconnecting to my sensuality through Tantra, that was when a whole shift happened in my world. And I remembered my power was in being and leading from the feminine. And, you know, it's the same. It doesn't matter if you're gay or if you're bisexual or if you're a lesbian. It's really about embodying the polarity of the feminine at times. And we can lead from that feminine place. And there can be a balance. And when I started, you know, tapping into my feminine essence and bringing principles of Tantra into my business, I noticed a huge shift in terms of financial success, in terms of making way more money, in terms of connecting more deeply with my clients, and just in finding this deep authenticity in the work and in seeing things flourish. And so now it's become a part of my mission to help others in getting connected back to that.
That's awesome. Can you give us an example of using Tantra in your business? Because I think a lot of people might not even know what Tantra is.
That's a great question, Jessica. So Tantra is a very, very old practice, and it's, you know, people in the West think about it as like a sexual practice, but it's really a practice. It's kind of like yoga. It's more of a philosophy of living. So it's about finding the presence. So Tantra is really about presence, being in the moment, listening to your body. So, you know, feeling what your body has to say, and showing up with your full heart. And those are some of the basic characteristics of Tantra. And so what that can look like in your business is, you know, really showing up with the full presence of who you are and who you feel yourself to be, and what your body is saying, and what your clients are saying, and finding the sensuality in that. So, you know, so often I used to be, you know, working from like a really dingy cafe and doing my work online. And now I'm really about, you know, finding places of beauty that inspire me when I'm working. So whether it's even lighting a candle or finding a really beautiful cafe to sit in, what are the environments that will support me to feel beautiful and sensual and in my body? Mm-hmm. Because it affects my work. These small little details affect how I write a piece of my newsletter, or how I message something to a client, or, you know, what we post on Facebook. Is these small little micro adjustments that can really make such a big difference in how we give our gifts to the world.
Wow.
So I have a question, because, you know, like I said, you know, I'm here in Cancun, and, you know, I've been here for a couple of days and talking to my sister, and, you know, my sister works for these like big hotels, and she's like a leader, director of some sort, and she works with a lot of men, and there's very few women. And it sounds, you know, from what I can, and I don't know if it's the culture or what, but there's like a certain, and I'm not saying that happened to my sister, because she's very, you know, into her sensuality, and she's very embracing all that, but I do see that there is a certain type of shame almost when it's like us, like right now, like, oh, if we put lip, like we have to be very careful on what we were gonna name it. You know what I mean? Like what we were gonna name the show. You know, because we wanted to say, you know, how can you have like an orgasmic business? You know,
we can't say that. We can't say that.
We can't say that, right? But there's almost like, and even though we're not very conscious about it, but if we're having like these real conversations, there is a level of shame of like, you know, being able to like, you know, we cover ourselves as much as we can, you know, because there's this sense of, hey, you know, there's a certain disrespect if you are very into your sensuality. You know, it's almost like this blame that has been put upon us from, you know, 100 years ago, and that they're fixing something, somebody yelling over here. So like 100 years ago, it's kind of like, you know, or now in some countries, you know, like women are being raped, and they say, well, it was your fault because you were, you know, you came too sensual or too, like, it's almost like there's a woman their fault for not being respected, for things happening to them, or for people whatever it is, because of our sensuality. So I think there's a little wall or block that holds us back, because we do want to be respected. We don't want, that kind of, there's certain amount of, energy you want to bring into that with your sensuality, but there's a certain amount of energy you don't. And that we have to kind of protect ourselves in that. So I get the part of coming from the feminine about the intuition and all this stuff. But one of the things that I love about you, and I see your website and everything is so out there. It's like this beauty and sensuality, and you have, like the work maybe that you have done that has helped you, like kind of free yourself from that, which I think right now is kind of hard, because I think there's a wave of the feminine right now in our businesses, and we all know that that's been really helping us out, like really being in touch. Jessica is, one of the people that loves beautiful spaces, and she's always around beauty, and she, but to a certain level, we all have a certain block or shame about being a little too sensual or being a little bit too in the beauty, right? I mean, do you guys feel a little bit that we kind of live in that space?
Well, yeah, I mean, just when you and I were naming the show, it's a perfect example, because she came up with this great name about something orgasmic in your business, and then we're like, no, that's a little bit too much. We shouldn't say that. So yeah, what do you think, Phoenix?
Yeah, well, I mean, that hits the nail on the head. We're taught to cover up our sensuality because we're not supposed to draw attention. We don't want to distract people. It's why girls are shamed in schools for wearing, shirts that show their bra straps. I know that I was. And again, it's always about placing the blame on the feminine. And actually, it's about how can we embrace and honor the feminine, and really, really honor her, right? Honor that within all of us. And that's what it is too, is that this culture doesn't appreciate the feminine inside of men either, right? They really suppress that. So I think that's the beauty about, especially for coaches, right? When you're kind of out of the traditional 9-to-5 workplace and you have your own business, you're really in control of how you set the tone in your business. And so what I see is, for women especially that are entrepreneurs, they have the ability and the freedom now to really be those priestesses. And it's like, actually, I'm going to delve into my sensuality, and I'm going to embrace this and imbue this. And that's what being a feminine leader is about. It's the same thing as in the bedroom. It's like, it takes a woman who's really in touch with herself to ask her partner, no, I don't want to reenact that thing that I saw in that porn video, because that doesn't feel good to me. I actually would love to be touched this way. And it's about kind of bringing that presence into our work and our pleasure.
Right.
So it sounds like
it's more like, and it's a great example in the bedroom. It's like taking away a little bit the shame.
Yes.
And instead of trying to be accepted, like in bed, you kind of connect with yourself and like really be honest and ask for what you want. And I think that if we apply that in business, where we can like really check out and say like, hey, I don't want to reenact that marketing kind of structure or whatever. Like, I really want to come from a place of, honoring who I am, right? Is that more of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and even the principles of Tantra, they can be brought into a corporate workplace, For example, like intimacy and connection is very important in tantric principles, right? Where, you do breathing exercises with your partner just to kind of come to that place of presence with one another. And, in a corporate environment, if you don't have connection with your customers, or if you don't have that level of intimacy with them, maybe that company is not listening to what the customer really wants. So how can they bring those elements forward in their company? And I think that that's the feminine approach. It's that empathy and compassion and listening. It's the listening aspect. there was an article in Chatelaine, it's a magazine here in Canada, and they said that our prime minister has traits of feminine leadership, because he's really about being inclusive and about like listening, and these are some of the practices that we can bring and that we can uphold as these feminine leaders who are in touch with our sensuality. Because when we stop allowing ourselves to feel shame, and when we are able to embrace our sensuality and our tenderness in our business and not feel afraid, then that's what shifts. We don't have to push on anybody else. We don't have to kind of come from that space of like, deal with it. It's more of like, we said yes to that expectation and we took that on. But the moment that we say no to it, then everything shifts.
What's the difference, would you say, between sensuality and sexuality? Because I think that's what people are afraid of in their business. So how do you kind of define that?
Oh, well, I mean, sexuality can be like your disposition towards whether you like men or women or both, where I think sensuality is an approach to life. It's about being present with your food and like feeling textures and aromas and being really present to the beauty that is felt within the five senses. I think that is how I would describe sensuality. It's about how do you feel in your body? How do you feel in your environment? What are the ways that you can feel pleasure in through all the senses?
So, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with like, I was like, oh, let me put on this shirt and red lipstick, and like, that's more like sexy, right? And this is totally different.
Well, I mean, I think that's beautiful. Like wearing the red lipstick, if it makes you feel feminine and in your feminine, I think that was actually like a tip I was going to share, is that if you can find a practice that brings you back to that feminine essence, whether it's like you want to feel raw or you want to feel more like soft and tender, those are ways that you can bring that into your work, right? Maybe it's, I can see like flowers in the background there. Right? So it's like, how can we bring more feminine essence into our work, whether it's getting dressed
so you're saying it can be sexy, like sexiness can be a part of it. Oh, huge. But it's not to be like completely misconstrued for sensuality.
Like sexy is an element, I think, of flavor of sensuality. Okay. It's like kind of more fierce and more dominant, or it can be more tender and like soft.
So there is no distinct that you could blend both if it comes without the show. And I think that sometimes, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but sometimes in business, people feel like they can't be successful, and I've heard things that for me were new things that I've heard, because I would have thought somebody would feel like this, but people feel sometimes that they can't be successful because they're overweight, or because that only, or like, pretty people, or what, which for me, that's kind of like, I don't understand it. But what I do understand is that in sensuality or sexuality or or the mix of both, I think that we feel that we have to have a certain level of kind of body perfection to like really feel the sensuality. So it's like really hard to connect with this sensual part of you when there's so many aspects of yourself that you just don't like, right? You see yourself, and there's, you have kids, and you have the belly, and you have the arm, and then you have the thing, and connecting with sensuality. Sometimes you feel that, how can I feel sensual if I don't feel sexy enough or sensual enough or beautiful enough or whatever it is? Like, how can we do, and we do that in our business as well. Like, we want it to be perfect in order for us to feel like it has a successful thing. So I think it is the same thing, but what tip or what advice would you give us, in kind of that, being able to use the sensuality, to be able to integrate and embrace that part of us, even if we are not completely satisfied with what we see?
Okay, this is like a tip. This is like a secret from the dark vaults of Tantra. Okay, so I'm sure you've all been with a lover who has like, you've just been so present with, right? Somebody that like really, you're not thinking 10 steps, you know, in the process of making love, or you're just so present, right? And so the element of Tantra is about being so present that you're just enraptured in each kiss, each touch, each feeling of pleasure, right? And when you're in that state of pleasure, you're not thinking about, oh my God, I have like love handles, or you know, oh my God, I forgot to get my toenails painted. Like, you're fully present to being with that person. And that's the beautiful process that you want to bring into your business, right? So we're not thinking about, you know, when you're with your lover, and I'm going to get explicit here, but when you're with your lover and you're having that tantric practice, you're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to have an orgasm in 5 minutes here, you know, or you're only thinking about the orgasm. You're actually thinking about like each touch, each caress, each movement in the journey together through that process of making love. And so if we can find the piece of pleasure in our business and bring that aspect into what can we feel pleasure in today in our business. So for example, I like set candles all around my room. I lit incense, and then later on I'm going to do my emails, you know, and it's this beautiful sensual environment that makes me feel nice. I'm wearing like really beautiful underwear and beautiful clothing, and it's finding that element of pleasure. So even though our bodies aren't perfect, you know, or we're not at that perfect weight, doesn't mean that we can't feel, you know, have an orgasm or have pleasure. Just as even if our businesses are not perfect, we can still feel pleasure in whatever level of success we're in. So one practice,
I think that's really important what you're saying, like so important, because it's like it's such a good analogy. It's like we're waiting. It could be you're waiting for that certain weight, or you're waiting till you get 5 clients, or you're waiting to sort of feel good about yourself until you get this result. And I'm so results oriented that I can really relate to that. And a lot of people that feel like they're not getting the result, they just want to throw their hands up and be like, just forget it. You know, it's too hard. I can't do it. But I think what you're saying is so important, even in terms of client attraction, because how you're showing up is going to affect who wants to work with you, you know?
Yeah, big time.
It's more finding what feels good and pleasurable versus making yourself be someone or look somewhere to give yourself permission to do that. So really, I think it's a place of permission to, like, you know, to choose like what food you really, really want to eat versus the food that you should, but you don't like, but it'll look, you know, it'll be better or whatever, right? It's kind of more like that approach.
Or you can apply that to your marketing, like you were saying earlier, like I have to do things a certain way. And yeah, there's structures and things that work, but you still have to infuse yourself into that. You know, if you're just copying a template and trying to plug into it, but yourself is missing, then you're not going to, it's not going to resonate for people. You're going to sound like everyone else, or people are just going to gloss over it.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce. And even how you work with clients, like some people follow a template of like, oh, to have, you know, this time frame that I work with people in this format, but maybe it doesn't feel right. Maybe it feels awkward and it doesn't feel really flowing. It doesn't have that flow to it. So then when we can kind of revisit, like, well, how would I love to work with my clients? Or what elements would I love to bring in? You know, like I know, Monica, you bring in beautiful meditation music as you do meditation and processes with your clients, and that feels good for you. And because it feels good, it's going to feel good for your clients. And that's like those extra touches that then just shifts your whole business, because then it's like your business is an element of how you make love with the world, you know, and because you're feeling that pleasure in how you create your business, people will feel that pleasure. But the more awkward it feels, or if it feels not beautiful and personal to you, it's going to feel like that to your clients. And I think that that is what sets apart people that reach really huge levels of success with people that are still always struggling, because they're just trying to follow a template, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any like client examples? Like I don't know, I haven't seen everything that you do, but I'm assuming people come to you and you're helping them with the transformation you created for yourself. You're helping other women and men too. Is it just women or is it men or?
Yeah, I've worked with men before. I do work with men sometimes. So yeah.
So do you have I love all of your examples. So I want to hear more because I'm so visual. So do you have any other examples of like sort of how maybe someone was doing something a certain way and it was masculine and it wasn't working, and then like some of the things that they changed? And I just think that's helpful to see like what someone else has done to sort of move out of that old paradigm.
Yeah, there's one practice that I share with people, and it's a tantric practice, but it also works with goals and desires. Mm-hmm. And so when you are, you set a time and a space to make love with your partner or with yourself, for those who are single, and light candles, have flowers around, make the space really juicy and beautiful, and set aside, a nice chunk of time. And as you're beginning to feel pleasure, you take a bit of time throughout to think about what is an experience or a goal or a dream or a desire that you have in your business. So for example, if you're an author and you really want to get signed by Hay House and you submitted your application, you're waiting to hear from them, you would take some time throughout the process of making love with your partner or yourself to think about like, oh, I've, been signed by Hay House. They've scheduled 5 different book signings for me across the States, and just getting yourself into that place where you're actually living that dream. And then as you come into the big O, then you again. So
this is like actually while you're like, this is like the sexual part.
This is like a.
You're thinking about your business goals and desires while the sexual part's going on.
Yeah. So
okay. Just like, let me make sure I understand this right. I got to do my homework the right way.
But how do you make sure you're also present to your partner? How do you, can you, without.
Yeah. So it helps if you actually bring your partner into this with you. So it's kind of like, I know many of you may have tried that meditation where like, say if you kind of you hate trying to forgive someone, the practice is you think about a kitten or something really cute, and then you shift your focus to that person that you're angry at, and then you switch back to the kitten, and what it is it's trying to bring that energy to diffuse the anger. So with your partner, you're obviously imbued in the act of like either lovemaking or you're with yourself and you're enjoying the pleasure. And then you just take a few moments to just think about like, oh yes, I've been signed. I'm on stage now. I'm like, oh, it's so exhilarating to be speaking in front of 1,000 people. And then you come back to that feeling of pleasure again. And it's just, it's kind of like a meditation where you just take a little bit of time to invest that energy, because the energy of orgasm is very powerful, but we as women, we rarely use that energy to fuel our desires and our dreams, right? It just kind of goes out into the universe and then it's gone. So it's like, how can we direct that to what we want to create? And that's kind of that part about being a tantrika, is you use that energy for your desires.
That is so cool.
That is very cool and very interesting, actually. And so we have a few minutes. Do we want to take a call if somebody has any questions or something? And then I know this is being recorded. I just saw that the people were having a few problems logging in, but this is going to be recorded, and so we're going to put it on our Facebook group, and we're going to go ahead and put it on our YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit more before we leave about your conference, your women conference, this coming year, and it's in November. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And, you know, I posted that there was that somebody might be able to win a ticket. Is that over, or was it last week?
No, it got extended until June the 20th because we had so many messages to extend it. So,
yeah. The conference, and tell us about, bless you, and tell us about how can we, you know, we can join or be there or win tickets or whatever. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the Awakened Women Conference, as you said, is taking place in Bali this year. So Bali is known as being one of the most beautiful, tropical, luxurious places in the world. And it's also one of the most feminine places in the world. So the conference is a space and a container for 300 women who are ready to become the next voices for feminine leadership in the world. So there's going to be all of the resources to support women to be able to speak on stage from the feminine, to, you know, get their books signed, to how do we become voices for millions of people around the world. So that's why the conference is such an intimate and beautiful, delicious gathering of female leaders over 7 days. There's going to be women that are, you know, leaders in feminine speaking, in getting published. I know yourself, Monica, you're speaking there too as well, which we're really excited about. And there's going to be women talking about how to become successful entrepreneurs as mothers, which I see you have a baby. What a cutie pie. Hi.
Thank you.
Aww.
Yeah, I kind of know something about that. My son just turned 18, so I ran my first company with him, and now I have my coaching company and starting over again.
Mama.
Yeah, and there's so many women that need the support as mothers. And so, like, how, you know, how do we do that life balance as like a working mother and also be this amazing parent? And so we're really excited to actually announce our keynote speaker very shortly. She's a huge leader in the world of, you know, feminine activism, performance, speaking, publishing. And for any woman who purchases her ticket before June the 20th, she has a chance to win her ticket for free. So that includes all accommodations, all meals, and full access to the conference for 7 days.
What? It's a 7-day conference?
Yes.
We lost her. Did we lose her?
I think we did.
So we're going to post the link to her event in our Break Room for Coaches group, right?
On Facebook, yeah.
We'll access her registration page for her event. And did she have any kind of free gift that we're going to post in the group too?
I think so. I think she has a something, but I don't know where she went. Oh,
hopefully she can come back in.
So this happened to us with Karen last time, just towards the end. But anyway, so this is going to be an amazing conference. I saw the list of the people that are going to be there, and it's incredible. I know that there's going to be Casey Baker, which I absolutely adore, and other really great ladies are going to be there. So I'm like so honored that I'm going to be part of that.
That's exciting. I didn't know that. Yay!
So yeah, so I don't know where she's at, but we're going to talk to her. We're gonna have to end the call because I don't know where. I think she's not able to log in again. But who's ever interested, anyone that's interested in checking out this women conference in Bali, which is, could you imagine, Jess?
What's the date?
Bali. I think it's November 27th or something like that, or it's like
after Thanksgiving.
I think it's during Thanksgiving.
During Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure because it's all about being grateful. You know, it's like using that time. I think they chose the dates because of a certain energy, something.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk to her again. We'll send anybody that wants more information can contact us. You can contact Jessica in her group, which is Permission to Charge. And or you can contact me, or you can go to the Breakthrough for Coaches Facebook group and get all the detail and the information. We are so grateful Phoenix was here. It was very interesting. And I mean, it could get hot when we talk to her, but we do get awesome tips. And let us know if you were able to, apply some of these tips to your business, and if you see a shift within yourself, within embracing your sensuality, or connecting better with your clients. Just let's try it out. I'm a person that doesn't believe so much. I try it out and then I'll believe. I kind of need to try it out first before to. And a lot of people say that.
Continue the conversation in the group, because I love the examples that she gave of your environment or the candles, just like you said, trying that out. So I think we should, let's post in the group and kind of continue that discussion.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the 4th Monday of this month, which is, I should have that ready. And I'm never ready for that day. Did you have a calendar right there with you?
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. So the 4th Monday is the 27th. So we'll be back on June 27th.
June 27th. Okay, so she sent a message that her system died, her phone died. So she said she's giving a gift for everybody that is watching, and they even if they watch the recording, and they're going to have an access to her free Mythic Self Meditation.
Ooh.
So we're going to put that in our Facebook for Coaches group, and they could go in and they could go and get that free meditation. So thank you so much.
I know she's not here, but thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And if you're watching this as a recording and you have some questions, go ahead into our Facebook group and ask your questions, say your comments. And, if you want us to speak or about a certain topic, let us know. Or if you want us to have a special guest that you really want us to talk with, let us know, and we will do our best to get them in. So thank you so much, Jessica.
Bye,
for always being here, being so wonderful. Bye, honey. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.